Washington quarters remain one of the most enduringly popular coins ever since its initial launch in 1932 to replace the standing Liberty quarter. For many, it remains the go-to denomination when starting a new collection. Era and Variety collection is also extremely vibrant within the series, and in this video I'll be taking a quick look at the top 10 repunched mint mark varieties for the Washington Quarter series. To begin our journey, let's examine the 1946 D/D Washington Quarter in the number 10 position. Admittedly, the repunched mint mark on this variety is somewhat weak and will almost certainly require at least some magnification to properly identify. It's very easy to see why this mint mark needed to be repunched, as the initial D is positioned towards the north of the final mint mark and actually touches the twigs above. While not exactly the easiest variety to track down, however, in 2018, a PCGS graded MS65 example was sold at auction for $576. And then, moving ahead to the number 9 position, is the first of two coins on this list from 1953, in the form of the 1953 D/D variety. A very popular variety, albeit extremely scarce. On this coin, the initial mint mark was punched inverted or back to front, with the final punching placed directly on top of it, although this time with the correct orientation. Examining the mint mark reveals the rounding of the underlying D peaks out towards the west, with one serif protruding from the top right hand side as well. There is actually some minor debate as to whether this is in fact an inverted or a horizontal variety instead, but based on what we've seen, an inverted D does make sense. During 2014, one of these varieties was sold at auction in a PCGS slab with a grade of MS64 for $610. Then, the coin that greets us in the number 8 position is the 1939 D/S mint mark variety. This is a somewhat odd listing that actually makes for a very interesting case study, and has caused a bit of divide within the era and variety collectors community. There are those who hold that this is in fact not a repunched mint mark variety at all, but rather simply a damaged die. To illustrate the two schools of thought, by example, NGC does not recognize this variety, while PCGS in fact does. Regardless of whether you believe that this is in fact an over-mint mark variety or not, during 2017, a PCGS graded coin like this at a grade of MS64 was sold at auction for $763. Occupying the number 7 slot is the 1947 S/S variety, which is actually a triple punched mint mark with its initial and secondary punchings both north and south of the final impression. This coin is another interesting case, as the die state weighs very heavily on the amount of additional detail found on this coin, with later die state coins perhaps only displaying a single repunched mint mark on some coins. The lower cavity in the S mint mark is the area of greatest interest, as this is where the remnants of the first placements are always the most prominent. In certain earlier die state coins, there is also a small curvature still protruding towards the south as well. In 2015, an MS67 graded coin from PCGS was sold at auction for a record high of $1,057.50. Although it should also be noted that prices for this variety have recently been more subdued since that euphoric high. At number 6, we encounter one of the 1943 S/S Washington Quarter varieties. Now, the 1943 S issue is already a fairly fascinating one to study from a mint mark perspective, as there were several different mint mark styles employed during this single issue. Couple that with a few fairly nice repunched mint marks, and there's fun to be had for all. But back to this particular variety, there is actually a clear secondary mint mark towards the southeast of the final impression, found on the large S mint mark style. The filled upper loop of the S is quite common as well, and is seen to varying degrees on different coins. In 2018, a PCGS graded MS66 1943 S/S coin was sold at auction for $840. However, the auction record belongs to a coin extracted from the personal collection of variety specialist Bill Fivers, which sold in 2014 for $1,650 at a grade of MS65. The midway point on this journey is marked by the 1940 D/D repunched mint mark. This is yet another considerably unique variety in that one of the repunched mint marks was completely separated from the final placement. The faint outline of the original D can be spotted directly towards the west of the final mint mark, with clear evidence of yet another repunched mint mark only slightly to the left, with the serifs of this secondary striking doubling the initial mint mark's position towards the southwest. PCGS graded an MS66 coin of this description, which was sold at auction in 2015 for $2,585. This is then quickly followed up by the 1948 repunched mint mark variety from the San Francisco Mint in the form of the Quadruple repunched mint mark. In this case, there are two punchings towards the north, with one of them being separated quite dramatically towards the northeast, and the other simply shifted directly north, with its lower serif actually also visible in the lower cavity of the final S. The third impression is to the south and completely unmissable, doubling the tail of the final mint mark completely. All in all, as repunched mint marks go, an extremely attractive variety. 2018 saw the sale of a PCGS graded coin with a grade of MS64 at auction for practically $4,000 at $3,999.60. The coin that is then seen in the number 3 spot is easily one of the most complicated, just insane repunched mint marks on this list, if not the entire series as a whole, and makes the previous two listings pale by comparison. I am referring, of course, to the 1953 D/S Washington Quarter variety. Although sufficient magnification and an early die state example of this coin is required in order to fully dissect its complexity, with most numismatists agreeing that possibly as many as 5 separate punchings went into making this variety, beginning with what does appear to be 2 underlying S mint marks, and then as many as 3 directly overlapping D mint marks on top of that. What exactly was happening in the engraver's room on that day? Well, we can only speculate. 2016, however, saw the auction of one of these fascinating over mint mark variety coins, housed in a PCGS slab with a grade of MS66 for $5,875. And then the final two coins discussed here are both 1950 Washington Quarters and very prominent Red Book listed variety coins. In second position, the 1950 S/D RePunched mint mark coin. The final S mint mark was punched directly over and on top of the initial D, with the upper curve of the D connecting the serifs of the S with its lower curve, and the straight bar of the D conversely connecting the upper curve of the lower serif towards the right. Distinct and very unmistakable. As you can imagine, this is one of the most popular varieties in the series, and during 2013, a PCGS graded MS67 example was sold at auction for $16,450. And finally, the undisputed king of the Washington Quarter RePunched mint mark varieties, or more accurate, an over mint mark, is the 1950 D over S variety. For this coin, the initial S can still be seen peeking out towards the north and slightly west of the final D. A peculiar oddity with this variety is that most examples are found with a significant amount of strike doubling towards the mint mark as well. What might appear to the beginner or novice variety hunter as an additional D is, upon closer examination, in fact the very telltale markers of machine doubling, as it is more commonly called. June of 2013 saw a PCGS graded MS67 1950 D over S Washington Quarter sell at auction for $29,375. Which of these varieties would you say is the most interesting to you? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. And if you liked this video, then you should also have a look at our top 10 Washington Quarter double die variety video as well. Subscribe to WNN and activate notifications never to miss any future videos. For the World Numismatic News, I am Numisman saying a heartfelt thank you for watching. Keep collecting and have a great day.